the focus needs to be on the players and on their great play on the court. So I support the Big 12's decision 100%.
Underway, and it is Arizona with the first possession. This Iowa State team 27-6 on the season, 12-6 in league play. They finished in a three-way tie for third, but because the tiebreakers fell down to the 5 seed.
Is what makes him so incredibly valuable, and that's one of the biggest reasons he's Big 12 Player of the Year.
Two-man game, Lipsy and Buchanan. Rebound, Lipsy. Momcilovic for three. And they are extremely talented, and this guy is one of the reasons why. Tobe Awaka came up with a rebound, couldn't finish, got it back again. And Del Orso knocks down his second three of the night. He averages almost 3 assists per game. Deflected by Del Orso. He's got it back. A little Euro step, and it rolls in for him. What a sequence, Jay, here in the closing seconds of the first half.
2 huge threes in transition by Momcilovic.
He's going to try one more. Got it! Oh!
Tobe Awaka down on the baseline with Krivas. They can duck in hard.
Bradley can't shake Torrey. Forces it up and hits. Finds Buchanan. 10 to shoot. Buchanan looking for somebody to give it to. Finds Lipsy. 5 to shoot. Tie game!
Remember, it's not just the first shot. It's the offensive rebound.
Bradley trying to do it himself. He does! He hit it!
Back here on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio and on Big 12 Studios. Ari Timken on the end. I'm James Westling, joined now by Arizona freshman Koa Pete. How does it feel to get the win over UCF and advance one more day in Kansas City in this tournament?
No, it feels really good. You know, to get a win in the Big 12 is always special, you know, because it's the best conference in basketball.
Have you ever been on a team with this much talent?
I mean, I've been on a lot of good teams, especially with USA basketball. So
True, but
I think so for sure.
There's so many good players that are two-way players in this team.
Yeah,
like it's just waves of you guys.
Yeah, no, it's really special. You know, everybody plays together, and you know, everybody likes each other. It's a really close team.
How you guys are a physical team, like, and it's cultural, obviously. Like, how does that? Take me through how, like, and you come into this program. How does Tommy Lloyd run the program to get such a physical team?
Just a lot of kudos to our strength coach, Chris Rounds. You know, he really got us right this summer. And then coach always wants us to play with force. So, yeah.
You know, you battled some injuries this last month of the season. People can't see it, but you're all wrapped up here, sitting with us just after the last game was completed. How are you feeling in terms of your health, and what steps are you taking with the strength and conditioning staff and medical team to make sure that you're 100% for the NCAA tournament?
Just recovering after every game, every practice. You know, there's some practices where I have to take off, you know, just to get my body right, you know, but it's been really good. You know, we have really good athletic trainers, and J-Rock and Rounds that have been getting me right, and my body feels good.
Are you feeling as good as you were a couple of months ago, or is it still kind of a gradual, you're getting there type thing?
I mean, I feel pretty good, honestly, out there, yeah.
Look pretty good. Rebounding is obviously a huge key for Arizona. I mean, is that like just ingrained from the start in terms of rebounding and how to, you know, rebounding discipline? And who are the rebounders that you watch and look up to?
Definitely Tobe. You know, he's our best rebounder. I think he's the best rebounder in the country. So he's a dog on the glass.
What does he do? How does he do it?
I don't know. You got to ask him. He just goes and
But
gets
I'm like,
it.
what's this art of the rebound? You know, take me through that.
I feel like he's just always in the right spot, honestly, and he's so physical and strong. You know, he's moving guys out the way. Like sometimes me and him fight over rebounds. I'm like, you got it, bro. I'm gonna just run the floor.
Yeah, we actually we did ask him about a month ago. He joined us on our show, and he kind of said the same thing, that he just always seems to be in the right spot.
He just got a knack for the ball, for sure.
And today against UCF, you guys had offensive rebounds on almost half of your missed shots. So how does that help you? Is number one, you're one of the guys that's grabbing a lot of those offensive rebounds, but also just to know that, like, those other guys have your back, and that if the first shot doesn't go in, there's a good chance you're going to get another opportunity.
I would just say, you know, that's winning basketball. You know, getting offensive rebounds, you get more possessions, getting layups or getting fouled on rebounds, you know, that's just winning basketball, and it's helped us a lot. It's been a good formula for us.
One of the things that Tommy Lloyd was just talking about in the interview was, you know, how sometimes there are certain environments where, you know, maybe it's, especially early in the tournament potentially, where, you know, you got to kind of create your own energy because there's not a ton of crowd energy. Did you feel that? I mean, how, you know, going through this experience for the first time for you, like, how, you know, how did you feel trying to kind of feed off yourselves as opposed to the crowd?
No, you definitely feel that for sure. You know, you just gotta have that energy. You know, play with emotion. Our bench needs to be a little bit better with our energy, and same with the players on the floor. We need to be better with our energy, and we're gonna take that to the next game and be better with that.
Because
sure.
you're used to crazy big crowds and
Yeah.
loud environments. I mean, you know, McKell Center gets wild. You play in different cities. There's lots of Arizona fans, so it must be like kind of jarring to play in a building that's a little bit more quiet than you're used to.
I'm sure it'll be better tomorrow, especially with Iowa State. They're so close to here. They're gonna have a lot of fans. So.
It'd be a lot of red, but I don't know if it'll be for you guys.
I think that'll create energy.
Yeah,
for sure.
I was going to say, does that motivate you guys? I mean, you're the highest seed. You're going to be a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. But if there was something to motivate you to play even better here in KC, can you use that as like we're kind of the underdog in terms of at least the crowd that's going to be there?
No, it definitely could help us for sure, you know, but I feel like every game we got to bring our own motivation, you know, and we lacked that a little bit today. I thought we came out the gate pretty well and then kind of got comfortable a little bit. We can't do that, especially in the tournament, you know. These Cinderella stories happen, so we got to be smart with that.
Yeah, was that the biggest thing? Because you guys were up 34-8, and then all of a sudden we look up and it's 12, and UCF had a chance to get it to single digits. Was it just kind of you felt like you took your foot off the gas pedal for a bit?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of that, and also, you know, credit to UCF. They're a really good team, so, you know, teams are going to make runs, and I thought we did a good job, though, at answering those runs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they say the NCAA tournament, like those games feel different. Obviously, this is not the NCAA tournament, but like, do these games feel different than the regular season?
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's definitely a stepping stone to the NCAA tournament. You know, these are games that are going to get us prepared for them, especially, again, playing in the Big 12, the best conference in basketball.
Yeah, and back to back. I mean, like you basically have an Elite Eight game tomorrow.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
Iowa State's 7.
Yeah.
You guys are 2, 3. You know, whatever, 2. So like that's crazy to think. You know, in the semifinals, not even for the conference championship, you're playing the 7 overall team in the country.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It's an Elite Eight game.
Yeah, for sure. And a really good team.
Talking with Arizona freshman Koa Pete. Koa had 12 points, 4 rebounds, a couple of assists in Arizona's win over UCF at the Big 12 tournament. How long have you known Braden Burries, and what's that relationship like? You're both freshmen. You're both playing like seniors now this time of year. So take us through that.
No, that's my boy. You know, we're always hanging out. I've known him since 7th, 8th grade. You know, we used to play each other, made hoops. So that's been my guy since 8th grade, and you know, that's like a brother to me now. So that's my boy for sure.
Yeah, how cool is it to be on this ride with him?
That's special for sure. You know, that's my guy. Both want to be, you know, in the NBA next year. We both got the same aspirations. We're always in the gym together, and he's a really special dude. That's my guy for sure.
Yeah.
Are you guys are you soaking up these moments that you guys have together in the postseason, knowing that, like you said, you're going to be in the NBA next year and probably on 2 different teams? Like, this is kind of that last ride in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, that's my guy. You know, after every practice, he's over at my house. You know, we're playing the game together in the hotel room. Last night we was in the game. We was on the game, playing the game all night almost. So, you know, that's my boy, and he's always going to be my boy.
And then the other thing I want to ask you about is there's like a dozen Pete family members that have played professionally in some capacity. How many of your family members attend home games versus live in the area in Tucson, maybe are here in Kansas City? Just all that athleticism in one family is just super cool and so rare.
Yeah, you know, my mom and dad are usually at all my games, so they're up in the stands. And then I know my brothers and sisters are watching from home, you know, wherever they're at. So, I mean, texting me after all the games, it's really special. You know, I've been blessed and fortunate with a great family. So
Every game, huh? Texting.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Amazing. Talk about the CVS TikTok.
My sister got me right with that. You know, my sister's one of my agents. So
That's awesome.
You know, just
Your teammates were giving you some like in the comments. Is that what?
nah, they was messing with me for sure.
That's pretty cool though.
Yeah, shout out CBS. So.
Awesome stuff. Koa, hey, congrats on the win.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
your time.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you.
Arizona freshman Koa Pete here on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, watching us on Big 12 Studios from Kansas City. Back here on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, watching us on Big 12 Studios with Ari Timken on the end. I'm James Westling, and we are joined now by Arizona freshman Braden Burries, who went off against UCF with 21 points, was a plus-minus of 24 in Arizona's impressive win. Post-game, how does it feel to get the win over the Knights and move one more day further?
UCF is a great team, so I just feel like that was a great win for us, just feel like the most important thing for us is going to be how we bounce back tomorrow and just our recovery.
They've talked in the past about something called the freshman wall. If that exists, it doesn't seem like you've hit it. You seem to have gotten stronger as the season's gone on.
Yeah.
Can you take me through that? How does that work?
I kind of went through that at the beginning of the year. Honestly, the first few games I wasn't the best, and I just had to get experience. Coach brought me in, and he just talked to me this happens, regulars. As a freshman, it's gonna happen. You're gonna have bad games. You're not gonna play as good as you want to. And he said the best thing for you is just experience, and that's what he never stopped trusting me and losing faith in me. So I just thank him a lot, and then also the seniors on the team just being there for me, just lifting me up.
Yeah, Tommy was telling us about that. Back in January, that you started the year cold, essentially shooting the basketball, but your demeanor, your effort, and practice never changed. Those are things that seniors do, not freshmen. So take us through kind of that adversity at the beginning of the year and how it helped you prepare for what you're doing now.
I'm very, very thankful for it because I feel like if I would have played great, from the beginning of the year, I feel like it would have just came easy to me, and I feel like I would have wanted it easy, and I don't want it that way. I feel like me going through that struggle, it helped me just knowing that it's not gonna be easy, and then most importantly, even though I'm not playing good, I can always be a great teammate. I can still cheer my teammates on, and people that are having great games, be there for them.
Yeah, and I think the other part to that too is just how incredible it is for an experienced team. You've got a guy like Jaden Bradley, right? He's Player of the Year of the conference, third leading scorer on the team, and especially to play the same position as him. What was that like as you're coming into a situation? You're heavily recruited, obviously a 5-star, big-time talent, coming in with a guy like Bradley who's been here, who has that experience at the same position.
I know some people if you got another person coming in highly rated, it's oh, you're trying to take my spot.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let you do that. He was never like that. He brought me in, welcomed me with open arms. First day I committed, he texted me, said let's do it.
Wow.
And then first day I got on campus, he was there. He was leaving the gym, I was going to the gym. We talked right there, and then ever since then, our relationship's just been going up and better and better.
And I don't know how much have you learned from him, and then the other thing is, I guess, has it helped you in your game, playing off the ball, him playing off the ball, you guys kind of playing off each other that way?
I feel learn from him, just picking up on reads, how to guard the low guards, low fast guards, and then honestly, me bringing the ball up, him playing off the ball, or him bringing the ball up, me playing off the ball. I feel like it's helped both of us, and not only both of us, but the team in whole.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so those are the things that you've learned from Jaden Bradley, but when you guys are on the floor together, how does he make your life easier, essentially?
Yeah. Honestly, just, he drives, he creates two, just throw it out. He's a smart player, and also he can score it. So, it's not so much pressure on me because he can score it, Cole can score it, Tobe or Mo can score it. It's everybody can just go off any given night.
Right.
Is there anybody physically in this league at the position you play that could stop you one-on-one off the dribble?
I like to say, humbly speaking, no. Confidence.
You're a truck
just,
downhill, dude. Especially your position.
Yeah, I feel just confidence, just putting the work in, no. But
yeah.
Obviously sometimes it happens, so just gotta live with it.
Were you this big in high school?
Nah, I was.
How much weight have you put on? Muscle, I'm saying, since you got to Tucson.
You could be a defensive end.
In high school, I didn't lift. I didn't start lifting until college. Yeah, I was just doing push-ups and stuff.
So you've been lifting for a year? Not even,
once
basically?
Once I got to Arizona, they started having me lift, and to Big 12, you gotta get bigger. So
So you didn't lift in high school? Why not?
I don't know. We just didn't. It was just our team.
Yeah.
We just practiced. We practiced a lot, and then we would just play basketball, just hooped a lot.
So this time of the year, some teams are just completely worn down. You personally, how are you feeling? Do you feel 100%? Do you feel like you have the strength left to make a deep, NCAA tournament run, and how?
I think for us to make a deep deep run, we're gonna have to continue to just stay together. You know, rebound, defend. That's gonna be like the key part for us. And then like you said, just being worn out. Nah, I feel like you only get one chance at this with all of us together because we got seniors that's gonna leave next year, and we're not gonna be able to run it back next year with those seniors. So like, just don't take it for granted. You know, take one game at a time. Just have fun, and yeah.
So
it's a blessing.
with Jaden, he makes your life easier.
Yeah.
Also, you guys just dominate the offensive glass. Like you had offensive rebounds on almost half of your team misses against UCF. It has to be encouraging to know that, somehow, some way, you're going to get your shots, even with all the depth on this roster because of how many offensive rebounds you guys grab.
Yeah, they do a great job of just offensive rebounding. Especially Tobe, Koa, Mo, even Dwayne. And Vaughn. Like they just make our lives easier as guards. Because if you shoot it, that there's a good chance that we're gonna get it back.
So you mentioned, the seniors, you won't be able to run it back next year. Koa Pete just told us that you were going to get back anyways next year. So
Koa did?
Koa's like, oh yeah, me and Braden will be in the NBA next year. So I don't know. I mean,
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if Koa's going to speak for you, but
yeah, nah. I just be taking it one game at a time, honestly. Like I like just to just enjoy like the journey, and like just be where my feet are, and just it's a blessing, honestly.
All right, what's something that fans and viewers of Arizona and the Big 12 need to know about Braden
And also,
Burries?
before you answer that, do you know that Jaden Bradley plays the saxophone?
Really?
Yeah, we asked him the same question. That's what he said.
I could juggle.
You could juggle?
Yeah.
Okay.
How many?
3.
3.
Yeah.
But you can you can't there's people juggle 4 or 5, right? Like I'm not making that up, right?
Yeah. I could juggle 3.
I can juggle 2. You?
1, barely, maybe a half.
I like to mess around a lot. I like to just mess around with my teammates a lot.
Like
Okay.
practical jokes?
Jokes, or we'll be walking, I'll go like this. And look, I just do little things like that and just be like a little kid sometimes.
You've got that childlike energy that you
Yeah.
bring to the table. All right, what's one part of your game that you continue to work on that is kind of like your number one focus this late in the year?
Just continue to be able to get a shooter. Just continue to get shots up, and then just the reads. Coming off ball screen, stuff like that. So that was like the 2 main things, and then my defense.
Awesome stuff. Braden Burries, Arizona guard.
Thank you.
Joining us here on Big 12
Thank
today
you.
on Big 12 Radio and on Big 12 Studios.
Arizona won it by 7. Just under a month ago, we are underway with a trophy on the line here tonight. And he'd love to add another one here in this game.
And Arizona would like to get Braden Burries going early.
He'll pick up an assist as Bradley knocks down a 3.
Really good.
13th in the AP poll in the week before the season began, as Pete lays it in, but they were in the top 5. Into Pete, who's had a terrific night. Left hand up and good.
Gave a look to the high-low, the dump down, and then pivoted. And especially the big guys stepping up in screening situations has been really effective for Arizona.
Some room for Sharp. A big shot for the Cougars. Fleming's on the bench right now. Miller out there for the backcourt with Uzan and Sharp. Tugler tries again and one.
Beautiful pocket pass.
10-0 run, Houston. Arizona's got foul trouble and they've gone cold. Miller driving, dumps it off. Laid in by Tugler. Shot clock at 7. Burries. He's going to have to put a shot up. And he banks it home. Back comes Flemings. Uzan. Hit it! And it's a 3-point game. That will do it. The regular season champs are the tournament champs here in Kansas City.
Big 12 Radio. It's Big 12 Today. Heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios. More on the NCAA tournament coming up here on Big 12 Today. I am Ari Temkin, and it's time now for our Modelo Spring Football Caravan as the caravan rolls along into Orlando today. Talking to UCF football. Modelo Spring Football earned, not given, because the full-time fan knows no off-season. The Spring Caravan is presented by Modelo, and Modelo off-season optimism is mandatory. Rule number 31 in our Modelo fan rules: off-season doesn't mean off, it means research, and so that's what we're doing now. Some research talking UCF football. We'll be joined by Scott Frost here in the next segment. Spring football opens up for UCF on March 31st as our Spring Caravan rolls along into Orlando. And there's a lot to unpack here. Let's start with some of the bad news that UCF has gotten lately, and that is Will Johnson, who was just added as their defensive backs coach to replace Brandon Harris, who left UCF after last season to become the defensive backs coach at Florida under John Summerall. Will Johnson was hired to join the staff, but has since left after less than 2 months on the job to be a defensive assistant on the Vikings staff. So UCF is now looking for a new defensive backs coach for the second time in the past 3 months. And with 6 portal additions being added in the secondary, not having a defensive backs coach at this point is pretty debilitating. So pretty significant news there for UCF that's come about in the last few weeks. Now UCF has saw 34 players enter the portal, one of the largest departure totals in college football, which means there's 34 incoming transfers. And then on top of that, they've added 17 incoming freshmen. So a lot of new with UCF. Now there's some major question marks here. I mentioned the secondary, adding 6 new players and not having a defensive backs coach, or having their defensive backs coach leave after just a few weeks. I think the other question marks are running back, where you lose both Miles Montgomery and Jaden Nixon. You add Duke Watson, who is unproven, only 49 carries for 158 yards and a touchdown last year at Louisville. But they did add, at the running back position, Landon Chambers, an FCS guy from Central Arkansas who had 242 carries for 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns in 2025. 2 players that could factor in a big way on the offensive side of the football are FCS transfers, including Josh Derry, the wide receiver from Monmouth, an FCS All-American, and Landon Chambers, the running back from Central Arkansas. So it'll either be Watson or Chambers at running back, and probably a mix of both, as we've seen from Scott Frost in years past. But I think what's most exciting about the offensive is Alonzo Barnett. They had a quarterback to solidify the position, something that they haven't really had the last few years, certainly last year, with, I believe, 5 different quarterbacks starting at different points throughout the year for UCF. And that's something we will talk with Scott Frost with coming up as the Modelo Spring Road Trip caravan rolls through Orlando, Florida. The other question mark to me, aside from, so secondary, 6 new players added to the secondary with a defensive backs coach that was hired and subsequently left just a few months later to go to the Vikings. You've got major question marks at running back. I also think you've got major question marks at offensive line. UCF loses 6 players along their offensive line, guys that were major factors in last year's O-line. The only guy that's back is their right tackle, Preston Cushman, who started all 12 games at right tackle, which is huge considering all the other guys they've left. But they added Cooper Terpstra, Brady Wayburn, Tyler Gibson, and Henry Tabonsi in the offensive line from the portal, which gives their new offensive line coach, A.J. Blazik, an interesting group to work with. In terms of these guys I just named, Cooper Terpstra, Brady Wayburn, Tyler Gibson, and Henry Tabonsi. Tabonsi's the most proven guy. He started all 12 games at left tackle last year for Buffalo. 6'5", 310 pounds. Started every game the last 2 seasons at Buffalo, telling 25 consecutive starts in 26 career games. So out of all of the guys they've added in the portal, they have 1 guy back at right tackle in Preston Cushman that started all 12 games last year. And then their left tackle is Tabonsi, who started 25 of a possible 26 games the last 2 seasons at Buffalo. So your left tackle and right tackle seem to be just fine. It's the 3 positions in between, right guard, left guard, and center, that are question marks. And guys that they brought in through the portal and to Terpestra, Wayburn, and Gibson, but guys that haven't started a ton in their careers previously. You know, when we broke down the best additions in the Big 12 in one of our top newcomer series, I would say UCF showed up on a lot of those lists based on some of the production they've added. UCF went with production over star power, meaning they added guys from Central Arkansas and Monmouth that have produced big-time numbers. Maybe were guys that are former 4- or 5-star guys that might transfer in that maybe didn't see the field as much or didn't produce as much as they had anticipated at bigger schools. UCF went mostly with the guys that have produced over guys that are former 4- and 5-star guys. An approach that I think is probably the right way to go, especially if you're UCF, and if you bring in talented players that then have good seasons, chances are you're going to end up losing them because I'm not sure that UCF has the money that, you know, that's out there to retain players. All right, so weaknesses. Offensive line, it's because it's unproven. Running back, because it's unproven. And secondary, because 6 new guys, it's unproven, plus you've got a new coach. And it'll be your second new coach in the same offseason. You're basically on your third coach, the secondary, since last year. Wide receiver, tight end should be a major strength for UCF. And this is where I look at this offense and think, man, there could be huge potential with it. If they solidify the interior of that offensive line and Alonzo Barnett works out as well as we think he could, this could be a really good offense year 2 under Scott Frost that takes a huge step forward. Dwayne Thomas is back. He led the team with 53 catches for 520 yards in 2025. I mean, it doesn't say much, right? But we also have to acknowledge that there was 5 different quarterbacks that played for UCF last year. 4 that started. Waden Charles broke out as a true freshman, starting 6 games, including the final 5, so he kind of came on strong of late. Dylan Wade returns after finishing with 523 yards and 5 touchdowns as the clear go-to option at tight end. And they also added, and I brought this guy up, the FCS All-American Josh Derry, who comes in from Monmouth after having a monster year at Monmouth. FCS first-team All-American, 76 catches, 1,123 yards, and 13 touchdowns in 2025. Now, the thing about Derry is he's 5'9", 175. Dwayne Thomas, not much taller. In fact, he's smaller, 5'8". So, you know, they don't exactly have possession receivers. They've got more of the smaller speedster guys, and that's what Derry was, kind of take the top off. But I think they've just added quality players that have produced. But that's one concern about the wide receiver position that, again, should be really good this year, should be a major strength. But when you got your 2 best guys based on what they did last year, Dwayne Thomas is 5'8", and Josh Derry's 5'9", so not exactly the biggest guys. Wade Charles, again, broke out last year as a true freshman, started the final 5 games, played significantly in the final 6 games. He's a guy that's 6'2", 185 pounds, so gives you a little bit more size. 26 receptions, 290 yards, but again, didn't score, but again, came on strong at the back end of the year. 4 for 50 against BYU, 6 for 78 against Oklahoma State, 2 for 34 against Texas Tech. And again, this is with a bunch of different quarterbacks, so you think, you know, with more playing time with the same quarterback, that he could take a huge step forward this year in Wade and Charles. So, again, wide receiver, tight end, probably a huge strength for them. Offensive line, running back, major question marks on the offense. And again, like what they have at right tackle, left tackle, I think they've got some good players they brought in the interior, but remains to be seen how good it could be. Alonzo Barnett's the huge addition, the quarterback from James Madison, 6 foot, 217 pounds. It's a kid that had 38 total touchdowns last year, including 15 rushing. So, I mean, this is a huge addition at the quarterback position, a position that was a major weakness for UCF the last 2 years. I mean, a big reason why Gus Malzahn ended up leaving and taking over as the Florida State offensive coordinator, and was a huge thorn in the side of Scott Frost last year. I mean, so many guys with injuries, you know, Taven Jackson, Cam Fancher, those are the 2 guys that Fancher was named the starter at the beginning, got hurt right immediately into the season. They turned over to Taven Jackson. He looked like the guy that could become something, but then he was in and out of the lineup with injuries. And on top of everything, I mean, they didn't even return a quarterback for the previous season. So it was starting from scratch last year at quarterback. They couldn't find anybody to solidify the position. There was not much production there. So this year they're hoping that changes with Alonzo Barnett coming in from James Madison. And I think of all of the additions in the Big 12 at quarterback, Barnett's probably the most underrated and maybe the biggest reason for optimism around UCF. I mentioned Tabanzi at left tackle, Derry at wide receiver, Chambers at running back. Derry and Chambers both from the FCS level, but guys that have produced in a big way. Again, Chambers is a 1,200-yard back with 10 touchdowns last year. The other name to know is L.A. Jesse Harold. First name L.A. Jesse, or first name L.A., middle name Jesse, last name Harold. Defensive end, Florida State, 4 years of eligibility left. This is a 4-star who went to Florida State last year, didn't see the field, and now has 4 years of eligibility at UCF. 6'5", 260. Love this addition. Big-time athlete. When you think about losing both your edge rushers in Malachi Lawrence and Nigel Lee Kelly, being able to add a guy like this that has the potential to be really, really good. And you know, look, it's tough to see the field, especially at a place like Florida State, if, you know, as a freshman. So the guy was a freshman last year, 4-star, 6'5", 260. He's a guy that I don't knock from in a lack of production standpoint, from that standpoint. I also think like linebacker could be a huge strength for this team. Lewis Carter returns as one of the team's best defensive players from last year. Remember, they lose 2 guys to the NFL draft at defensive end, but Carter was really good. Tackett Curtis brings 92 career tackles as a guy that was once with defensive coordinator Alex Grinch. Rashad Henry, last year at UMass, 67 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, provides some depth. Plus, they, you know, I mean, the big question is Tackett Curtis and Rashad Henry. If those guys can duplicate the production they had now at UCF. But with Lewis Carter returning, and then they add some guys that have some talent, I like what this could be. The secondary is a huge question mark. Now, they've added a ton of talent there. Jaden Bellamy and Antoine Jackson. Those are 2 guys that are back. But beyond that, they had 6 new players in the secondary that does not have a coach at this moment. So that, I think, is huge because while Alex and I wonder what they're going to look like in spring. I mean, the spring football didn't start for them until much later. They're going to start at the end of this month. So they start later than a lot of other Big 12 schools that are already underway. I mean, BYU goes way early. UCF is not even started yet. So at least you wonder if they're going to add a new defensive backs coach, losing Will Johnson before spring begins. Bellamy, by the way, last year was all Big 12 honorable mention. 6 new defensive backs were added to the roster, kind of behind Antoine Jackson and Jaden Bellamy. Biggest question marks, again, reiterating, offensive line, running back, defensive line, and edge. The DB's coach makes that a huge question mark. Strength, I think, will be at quarterback. I think will be at wide receiver, tight end. I think will be at linebacker. Those are the 3 strengths. You know, on paper, this team looks to be better, and I think based on the quarterback situation alone, it should be dramatically better. Whether or not they get to 6 wins and get to a bowl game, I think that will depend on some of these question marks being answered affirmatively. I'm not optimistic about their defense. I'm not a huge Alex Grinch guy. He struggled a ton being Lincoln Riley's offensive coordinator. He got let go from USC, even with a ton of talent that they had. Maybe it was a Lincoln Riley problem, but I didn't see much year 1 for Grinch to make me optimistic about him as a defensive coordinator. I think that, in addition to losing both Nigel Lee Kelly and Malachi Lawrence, who are 2 big-time playmakers, is a lot to overcome. But the opposite end of that is I'm pretty optimistic about the offense. I think this team should be really good offensively, struggle defensively, and could find their way into 6 wins. Looking at their schedule, because that's really the biggest litmus test for, you know, if they can get there. Their 2026 schedule: Bethune-Cookman, at Pitt, Georgia State. That's their non-conference. I see at least 2 wins there, maybe Pitt. TCU to open up Big 12 play. At Houston, at Oklahoma State. I think that's a tough stretch to open the season. I think TCU and Houston are 2 of my teams that will be at the top of the Big 12. Oklahoma State, I think, will be dramatically improved. then off week, then BYU, Baylor, at Kansas, Arizona State, Iowa State, at Colorado. All right, so out of the teams I expect to be towards the top of the Big 12, I think Texas Tech, Houston, BYU are three of my favorites. Plus, I think TCU and Arizona State will be in the conversation. So they don't play Texas Tech, but they do play TCU and Houston. They do play BYU. Two of those are home games, though, which is good. So they get two of those at the bounce house, plus Arizona State at the bounce house, too. I see this team based on their schedule. I mean, you get Kansas, at Colorado, which I don't think will be very tough. Iowa State at home in a rebuilding year. Baylor, what to think of them? I think this could be a 6-win team. Absolutely. I think 6 wins is very much a possibility based on schedule, expectations for the teams they play, and the fact that this is going to be a very good offensive football team. All right, let's hear from the coach. Scott Frost joins us next. Our Modelo Spring road trip continues. Caravan pulling through Orlando. Scott Frost is next. This is Big 12 Today, Big 12 Radio. Heard exclusively on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios.
Houston in white, Kansas in blue. Kip Kissinger, Tony Padilla, Brooks Wells, our officials tonight. And we're underway. It'll be the Cougars to open it up.
Manuel Sharp is all defensive team as well. He's an underrated defender. You talk about his scoring all the time, but he can guard.
Turn around, Sanak. Great rebound by Tugler. Fleming's the penetration. The feed to Sanak for the flush.
JoJo Tugler is a big-time defensive player with those long arms, and he has a live body.
And Kingston Flemings was backpedaling before that ball went through.
They're physical. Their help is there. They will trap ball screens and exchanges and trap the post.
Sanak for three. Sanak and Tiller, a great matchup of two guys at the power forward spot. Both freshmen, both extremely talented, as is that guy. Peterson's got all 5 for the Jayhawks.
Yeah, this is an important
steal. Peterson will slam it. Fleming's letting that shot clock wind down. Now he drives them, and he beat him to the glass.
Boy, how beautiful was that?
Fleming. Sacco trying to gather it. Tips it to Sharp. Flemings is open. How about that?
Well, you talk about an unscripted play. This has been a clinic.
Council into Badunga, and it will eventually go in, and that is the first made field goal of the second half for the Kansas Jayhawks. Here, they'll be trying to repeat what a game it should be tomorrow night, 6 Eastern, right here on ESPN.
Our spring caravan continues, making a stop in Orlando, Florida right now to talk spring football with UCF Knights head football coach Scott Frost. Coach, heading into year two, a lot of turnover in your roster. Is it, just give us a sense here of kind of year one and then how you wanted to set your roster up for year two.
Um, you say there's a lot of turnover on our roster compared to last year.
Good point.
Feels like we have a ton of people back. I think first years are going to be hard. We lost a lot of guys, had to totally rebuild the team. I think the advantage of year two is, we knew the players now. We weren't coming into a team where we didn't know the guys. I think we did a really good job of retaining the ones that we wanted to keep and adding around them. And I think that gives us a taking off point with some guys in our program who actually understand the expectations and know the schemes.
Yeah, and I guess just expand on that in terms of your culture and your program and how long does that take? Is this, are you expecting this year that your culture kind of takes full hold in terms of that and expectations?
Oh, I think so. I don't know if it gets all the way there, but it's already better than it was. People understand what we want. Things go smoother. Um, we call them culture keepers, with guys that have been in the program for a year that understand what's expected out of them, what the rules are, and they're able to help hold everybody else accountable that's new and teach the new guys what the standards are. And that makes the process a lot easier.
Let's talk about your quarterback situation. So how many quarterbacks played for you last year? Was it five?
I think, yeah, it was five. We had a really neat walk-on kid that got into a one game for us, so we ended up playing five.
That is, it's not sustainable, especially for a guy that played the position, right? I mean, how, obviously now this year it landed a huge player at the quarterback position in the portal. You're hoping for that number to be one for this year.
Yeah, you want it to be one. The saying, if you have more than one quarterback, you don't have any. And I don't think that was necessarily true, but it probably set us back because we had a competition at the quarterback spot and didn't really get that ironed out until, a week before the first game. And so the reps got split up probably more than we would have wanted them to. And then Cam Fancher won the job coming out of camp and got hurt in the first game, and we had to pivot. And we've had a few other injuries along the way. So we had a lot of turmoil at that position last year, and hopefully Alonzo is the type of guy that can settle that down for us.
Yeah, let's talk about Alonzo. I mean, it's a guy that played in the college football playoff last year. What does he bring to the table?
The first thing I notice about him is just his presence and attitude in the building is elite. His work ethic and getting in and learning our scheme and learning the offense, being around the guys. He's really likable. He's really competitive. So that gives you a guy that's built the right way at the top of your program, and hope a lot of guys are able to follow him.
I'm curious for your kind of just overall philosophy in the portal. There's certainly two schools of thought. I mean, there's more than that, but in terms of the two schools of thought, there's, the former 4 or 5 stars that maybe, didn't get the snaps or the opportunities at maybe a bigger school, a bigger program, versus the guys who maybe come from, the FCS or, the group of 5 level that have produced a ton and played a ton. It feels like, and in terms of what you did in the portal, you opted for guys that have produced more so than maybe some of these other highly recruited kids that haven't produced.
Yeah, I would say overall that's true. I think, you have a plan going into the portal, and it's so chaotic that every decision almost becomes kind of a one-off. So you can have an idea what you want to do, but then the portal period starts, and you just got to get your roster filled. We did a really good job, Trent Mossbrook, our new GM, and the recruiting staff, of identifying guys that we wanted to target once the portal opened. To be honest, I don't really care where they're from or what they look like, as long as they're good players. We're going to be older and more mature this year across the board. Got a lot of guys from smaller schools that have produced, and some guys from other big programs. But every decision you got to make based on who you can afford and who will come, and try to pick the best one you can. And evaluation is really important.
Yeah, I mean, one of those guys is, comes from Monmouth, has produced the wide receiver position, and Josh Derry, who's a FCS first team All-American. I mean, big time, 13 touchdowns in 2025. So I'm with you. I think that approach, like I'd rather guys that have produced at whatever level, because I mean, I know that they can go out there and play, whereas some of these other guys, they might have been, more highly recruited. There's still relative unknowns about them, but guys that have been on the field that know what it's like, regardless of the level, I think those are the guys that are probably going to produce at a higher level.
Yeah, I'd say in general terms, I agree with you. The best predictor of future success is past success. And
Yeah.
and usually guys, that didn't get recruited to big schools right away have a little bit of chip on their shoulder. And if they found a way to be elite at a lower level, there's a good chance they're going to find a way to be elite at this level too. So we're excited about guys like Derry and others that did really good job at group of five or 1AA schools.
What do you think, you learned from your first year at UCF, your first year back at UCF?
Oh, I had fun. We made a lot of changes on our roster. We probably didn't make enough.
Mm.
And I think that's just going to be the nature of college football now. When new coaches come in, you're going to have to start from go pretty much and rebuild the team. And it's hard. You have to hit on a lot of things and pick
Yeah.
the exact right people when you're filling a whole roster and you don't have anybody to really lean your hat on as returning. That's going to change for us this year, and I think that'll make us more detailed and disciplined and harder to beat.
What are the things, you try to do from a chemistry standpoint? How do you get guys to not only buy into what you've got, but to buy into each other?
That's the hard thing. I think in college football, especially in this portal era, it's always been important to develop camaraderie and culture and unity within your team. But it gets harder when you have, 10, 20, 30, and we had up to 70 new players last year. So you're taking a group of people that don't even know each other's names and trying to build a team out of them. You got to be really intentional and fabricate a lot of opportunities for guys to get around each other and compete with each other and get to know each other, because the buy-in is important.
Yeah. All right. So with spring coming up, what do you want to get out of spring? Has your approach as a coach in spring football changed over the years?
It's changed this year. And, last year, nobody in the country had a spring game because we still had to deal with the spring portal. And the last thing you wanted to do was broadcast who was playing well on your team to the rest of the country. I think the spring portal probably made us adjust how we approach winter conditioning and spring ball. Now, with the portal closing and your team pretty much being built, we could just go to work at trying to get the guys to come together and improve. So the guys have been working harder this offseason. I think we'll put more into spring ball. You're able to work them harder and coach them hard, and really, really pleased with where we sit right now.
How many of your freshmen are going to be on campus for spring?
Everybody that we signed early is on campus. We have one or two that we signed late that won't be here until May, but for the most part, our team's on campus.
Do you think some of those guys, and I know there's a couple of guys that are pretty highly recruited, can compete right away to play right away?
Yeah, I hope so. If those guys are good enough to play, that means we're a better team. If you do a good job in the portal, you don't feel like you really have any really real holes, and then it's just a matter of competing to see who the best guys are to put on the field. And there's definitely some young guys on our team, true freshmen included, that are going to have a chance to compete. And early returns from them, watching workouts and the things they're doing athletically, they're gifted enough to help us. So it's a matter of how quickly they can grow up and execute at a high level.
Two guys that you inherited just really blew up at the combine, two pass rushers in Malachi Lawrence and Nigel E. Kelly. They had great combines. We'll see where they get drafted. What do they bring to the table for you, not just on the field, but off the field last year? And then how do you replace, two guys that are going to be NFL draft picks at edge rush?
Yeah, first of all, just happy to be able to coach those guys. Malachi was a really cool story. He's hurt when I got here and didn't go through spring ball, so we didn't know exactly what we had there. And man, he really approached this year with a business-like approach and just kept improving throughout the year. If I'm being honest, I had no idea he could run that fast or jump that high. But the way he played, I shouldn't have doubted him. So really excited to see where he ends up. And, Nigelique is just as talented, a little younger. I'd say that's the only difference. And Nigelique actually wanted to come back. NCAA denied him a redshirt year. He played in 4 games his freshman year, plus 10 extra plays, and they wouldn't give him his red shirt because of those 10 plays.
Over 10 plays. Wow.
But he's ready, and I know he'll do a good job. Just a little younger than Malachi, but both were great guys to work with and made us a better team.
So, I mean, how do you replace those guys, with the experience and the athleticism that they had rushing the passer?
I feel good about it. We have another guy, Isaiah Nixon, on the team that was kind of the third last year. Man, he's having a really good offseason, and he's got the talent to be as good as those guys. And then we hit the portal for some others and had some guys already in the program. Sincere Edwards, who was hurt a lot of the year last year, and some additions from the portal. And it's hard to replace those guys, but I feel good about the guys that will be running out there.
The other one is offensive line. Obviously, you've got to replace a ton of guys there. I mean, I think when you look overall at your transfer portal haul, there's a lot of really good talent, guys that have produced, as we've discussed. How about your offensive line?
Yeah, I really like what we did with the offensive line, mostly just how those guys are coming together. And I'd say we definitely got a lot more athletic up front than we were a year ago. Paul Rubelt was around UCF for a long time as our left tackle, and we're certainly going to miss him and some of the other guys. But we got some guys that are hungry, that can really move, and they're in the indoor and in the meeting room learning and getting better every day. So. I feel like we can be a better offensive line this year than we were a year ago.
Our spring caravan, we're talking with Scott Frost and a few more here for the UCF coach as he gears up for spring practice. Did you have time this offseason to go on any trips, do anything fun, hang out?
I don't know what the offseason is anymore. We're actually going to get out of town on spring break. Nice. Right before spring ball starts, and then the coaches will get some time off in July and the summer. But right after the way the portal cycle fell, right after the season ended, you had to be getting ready for that and watching a ton of tape and trying to prepare yourself for the portal. So it's really been pretty steady all the way since August. And this time of year is fun, though. You just get to develop relationships and get around the guys and push them to get better. And once the portal cycle closes, it feels a lot more like it used to, that you just have a team that you're trying to pour into and improve.
Yeah, and I guess it's a good thing. Then you don't have to worry about another portal post-spring. So that's a great point. Scott Frost, UCF head football coach, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it very much. Take care. Enjoy your spring break and have a great time with spring football.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Take care. All right, there is UCF football coach Scott Frost joining us here in our spring caravan, our spring tour, stopping in Orlando. Modelo's spring football, earned, not given. The full-time fan knows no off-season. Spring caravan is presented by Modelo right here on Big 12 Today. We are presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios.
The focus needs to be on the players and on their great play on the court. So I support the Big 12's decision 100%.
Underway, and it is Arizona with the first possession. This Iowa State team 27-6 on the season, 12-6 in league play. They finished in a three-way tie for third, but because the tiebreakers fell down to the 5 seed.
Is what makes him so incredibly valuable, and that's one of the biggest reasons he's Big 12 Player of the Year.
Two-man game, Lipsy and Buchanan. Rebound, Lipsy. Momcilovic, fourth three. And they are extremely talented, and this guy is one of the reasons why. Tobe Awaka came up with a rebound, couldn't finish, got it back again. And Del Orso knocks down his second three of the night. He averages almost 3 assists per game. Deflected by Del Orso. He's got it back. A little Euro step, and it rolls in for him. What a sequence, Jay, here in the closing seconds of the first half.
2 huge threes in transition by Momcilovic.
He's going to try one more. Got it! Oh!
Tobe Awaka down on the baseline with Krivas. They can duck in hard.
Bradley can't shake Torrey. Forces it up and hits. Finds Buchanan. 10 to shoot. Buchanan looking for somebody to give it to. Finds Lipsy. 5 to shoot. Tie game!
Remember, it's not just the first shot, it's the offensive rebound.
Bradley trying to do it himself. He does! He hit it!
Big 12 Radio, this is Big 12 Today, heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios. We are presented by Modelo, and in studio with me now is Sydney Staples, who I co-host Across the Conference with, which you can catch on Big 12 Studios. Sydney, how are you? Love your sweatshirt, by the way.
Oh, wow. Isn't it kind of cute that we're twinning? This is kind of a moment. I love this for us. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Happy Tuesday.
It's actually Happy St. Patrick's Day.
No.
You know that.
Is it actually today?
Yeah.
You know, my mom FaceTimed me this weekend, and she goes, hey, did you see this thing? That Chicago dyes their river green?
Yes, every year.
And I go, Mom, every year I see this. She goes, no way. Wait, really? Yes, Mother, I've seen this all over. So this is something coming. I think she knew. It's just she doesn't have social media, so she doesn't know.
Yeah. No, of course not. Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, it's St. Patrick's Day today, but everybody celebrates it on the weekends because why would you want to celebrate on Tuesday?
I want to celebrate it every day.
Yeah. Every day is St. Patrick's Day in Sydney's house.
Do you like Shamrock Shakes from McDonald's?
No.
Ooh, okay.
You?
Well, yeah. I mean, is it my favorite? No, but do I drink it? Yeah. To be
Super
festive.
funny. Your feet don't even touch the ground. It's like you're like a little kid sitting at the table.
This is the depth of this chair. It's too deep. It doesn't work for me.
We need to get Sydney a new chair. All
I'm
right.
just glad this is radio and no one can see this. So
Let's keep. Well, they can see it. It is not just radio. Shreyas Ladd, our buddy from the Kansas City Stars, joining us now. Nobody has been more on top of the Darren Peterson saga throughout the entire season than Shreyas, and he's got two pieces back to back that really document a lot of it. Good morning, Shreyas. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing very well, thank you. Appreciate your time. All right, so after the Houston loss for Kansas in the Big 12 tournament, you got some really explosive quotes from Darren Peterson about the cramps dating back to post boot camp in September that led to him going to the hospital. And he said, through his own words, basically that had a dramatic impact on him. And we saw that play out throughout the course of the season. So let's start there, Shreyas. What did you take away from what he said post-game to you?
Well, I was just happy he finally talked about it. I'd heard about it for months, and you hear about it from a few different sources, but for something like this, where it's health-related, you want to hear it from the source itself. And, the biggest thing is the lack of transparency with Darren Peterson has been an issue for a lot of people, for media people, for fans, but also NBA scouts. I've had guys talking to me like, I would have loved to have just one conversation with my boss instead of 50 different conversations about why he is or isn't playing, So him getting out in front of it in Big 12 kind of helps him, I think, a lot of that, kind of what happened this season. He opened up. And man, I don't know. If I was a team drafting number one, I really want to see the medicals after he talked about like full body cramps that kept him in the hospital, that made him a little traumatized to play. It clearly has had an effect on him all season. The tape you see at Kansas doesn't look like the high school tape, as I've said in the story and a few different scouts had mentioned. Just a really interesting year for Darren Peterson and a really interesting year for Kansas.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I want to get into your piece that was released this morning, which digs deeper into this. But does Bill Self host that boot camp annually every September? Is that fair to say?
Yeah. It's been like a tradition for however long. I mean, it's been there way before I was on the beat, and I think it'll continue to be there. So, not the greatest news that he seemed to have just a really bad reaction to it about a week after it.
Yeah, I would imagine not common, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, guys like throw up and puke, but that's like just natural stuff that happens to the day-to-day stuff. It seems like this was so much more severe, and some level of like seriousness I'd heard from, about the coaching staff and his teammates being a little worried and stuff like that. And obviously, like, he got hospitalized. He had to take IVs, and he talked about having to change his diet and have to drink tonic water. It's just crazy to see, like, something that a lot of people did not know about, have such a deep impact on everything that happened this season.
All right, so now let's get to your latest article that was released this morning. I haven't had a chance to read it in full yet, but trying throughout the breaks to do so. The Darren Peterson story, how KU's dream recruit overcame season from hell. What's the main takeaway for you from this piece?
The main takeaway is there's a lot of stuff that happened behind the scenes that people don't know about with Darren Peterson. There's some level of nuance required that maybe he wasn't healthy, but also some level of like skepticism about some of the things that happened, like Bill Self calling him out and then his minutes increasing, even though, he says it's not because of that. There's a part in the story where I talk to a bunch of different scouts and get their viewpoints. A scout had pointed out to me, like, I would go to these Adidas events. I'd wake up at 7 a.m., go to it's in California, go to 8 a.m. gym, and Darren Peterson would street clothes. Then I'd go to EYBL at 9 a.m., and at 10 a.m., AJ's playing every single game. So there's some level that I've heard of load management that happened to him in high school. I think, we've talked about this. There's an interesting relationship between him and his dad and his agent with it all. I alluded to a little bit in the story. There is some belief from a lot of people in the NBA world that his camp is too involved in his decision making. And I can say this much. There are people in the camp that wanted a feature like this to come out for a long time, and there are people in the camp that did not want this to come out. And you can probably figure out who they are by reading that article. But it is really interesting to me, just kind of a crazy season that he's had. And honestly, he has a chance of redemption if he can take Kansas on a deep run. But it's hard to see that happening with everything that's gone on this season.
Yeah, well said. It would be kind of hoping and praying for something that we haven't seen as opposed if an NBA scout had the number 1 pick in the draft and asked you your assessment of this entire situation and kind of your viewpoint of it, and would you take him number 1 overall, what would you say?
I would say I need to see the medical records first. There's some level of like I think a lot of what he said is true, but I think there's something deeper there. You know, like is there something more than just full body cramps? And I'd want to talk to him about his mental state, his overall being of it all. I think the one good thing about the NBA is the camp can have as much influence when the time comes, right? Especially when you're competing for the number 1 overall pick. I would say I understand why you take DeBonza over Peterson, but if you trust the high school tape and you trust that this is just a one-off situation, which I'm not going to make that judgment call for an NBA scout. They've been following him since 8th grade. Then I say, yeah, take Peterson. He's a good kid. He has good character. Like all this noise aside, I would take Peterson. But with all these questions and with how good of the fact that DeBonza has been, it makes sense to take AJ over Peterson in my mind.
Yeah. No, I mean, hard to disagree with you. What was maybe the most damning quote that you got in this latest piece that came out?
Well, I think, there's a few. The one where a scout tells me, I've watched him all throughout high school, and it's night and day, the difference that he looks. That one was pretty bad. And then the one I had mentioned where the scout had talked about going to Adidas events and seeing Peterson in street clothes versus DeBonza's playing every single game. And I'd heard from multiple sources throughout this year that there was definitely some load management happening for Darren in high school. I don't know how much of it carried over, if at all, at Kansas, but I definitely think there's some level of being coddled, and this is his first time really facing adversity, and it's been a difficult year in a lot of ways for Darren. So, yeah, those are the 2 big ones, but he has a lot of great stuff in there talking about how, people were talking, wrong about him. He responded to the Stephen A thing. He responded to the memes about him, etc.
Yeah, it feels like, and again, I'm kind of been on the sidelines, whereas you've been, really charging through and talking to sources, but it feels like he's gotten bad advice, 1, and then 2, that basically every opportunity they've had, they've messed up on the PR front. Like, they have just PR mishandled this thing beyond anything.
It's been a disaster. All right. So many of these things, like we're talking about right now, if it had been revealed in, like, even December, not even, like, November or October or whatever, it would not have been as big a deal. But him opening up right before the NCAA tournament, which I appreciate because I wanted to write this story for 6 months now, I don't know how smart of an idea that was, okay? It's a little bit of a distraction, honestly, for Kansas, because now the question is, okay, well, he says he's fully healthy, but he's looked pretty horrible on the court since he's pushed through every single game. Is he really healthy? I don't know. He can't shoot the ball well right now. And just, it's been such a weird year that if his camp had opened up to literally anybody, I think it would have been a better outcome than we're getting right now.
Yeah. I mean, and yet it tracks that they wouldn't, because, again, they probably have made every mistake every step of the way here. So it tracks, right? Like, they continue to make PR mistakes. Like, of course they're not going to get out in front of this and manage this properly.
Even in this story, it says I had reached out to his dad multiple times for interview, and he honestly a little bit led me on for months there. I probably called him, Ariane, you know this, probably 40 times. I went in person before the game to try and get him one last-ditch effort before the quarterfinals game. I'm sure there are people in this camp that are not happy with this story. And to me, I say, well, if they had done some interviews, this feature would not have been so focused on everything that's gone wrong instead of what's gone right for him or who he is.
Great point. Shreyas Latta, Kansas City Star, great work, my friend. You killed it. Way to go.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
Shreyas Latta done a fantastic job covering the story all year. And, yeah, I mean, this is something that, though it was released this morning, Treyas has been working on for the entire season. And finding sources and trying to get quotes. And, I mean, he literally showed up to the T-Mobile Center hours in advance of the Kansas quarterfinal matchup just to try to get his dad to talk, as he'd been trying all year. They kept saying no or leading him on. Yeah, sure, we'll do it. Or I don't have time right now, but I'll do it later. They could have been in control of the narrative, and they let the narrative control them. And that, I mean, he goes to a major city in the NBA, and they're going to eat him alive. Like, you know, for guys that really want to dig into stories, to find, like, you talk about some of these markets, man, they like, that is, Lawrence is going to be a much nicer market to you than many of these other markets are going to be in the NBA. So, you know, it's not only just a preparation for him as a player, but also the preparation for the family in terms of what they're going to be dealing with the NBA at the next level, especially if some of these things come to fruition. We shall see. Really interesting story. And again, I think so much of this then now depends on what happens next. How does he handle the NCAA tournament? How does Kansas handle the NCAA tournament? I'm not optimistic. I've got them losing to St. John's in the second round, but if they get out of the first weekend, I think that'd be a huge, you know, feather in the cap of Darren Peterson. Because if Kansas is to get out of the first weekend, it means Peterson played really well. All right, along with Sidney Staples, who's in today in this last hour, I am Ari Temkin. This is Big 12 Today, presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios.
Play fake.
Houston in white, Kansas in blue. Kip Kissinger, Tony Padilla, Brooks Wells, our officials tonight. And we're underway. It'll be the Cougars to open it up.
Manuel Sharp is all defensive team as well. He's an underrated defender. He's talking about his scoring all the time, but he can guard.
Turnaround, Sanak. Great rebound by Tugler. Fleming's the penetration. The feed to Sanak for the flush.
JoJo Tugler is a big-time defensive player with those long arms, and he has a live body.
And Kingston Flemings was backpedaling before that ball went through.
They're physical. Their help is there. They will trap ball screens and exchanges and trap the post.
Sanak for three. Sanak and Tiller, a great matchup of two guys at the power forward spot. Both freshmen, both extremely talented, as is that guy. Peterson's got all five for the Jayhawks.
Well, this is an important
steal. Peterson will slam it. Fleming's letting that shot clock wind down. Now he drives them, and he beat him to the glass.
Boy, how beautiful was that?
Fleming. Sacco trying to gather it. Tips it to Sharp. Flemings is open. How about that?
Well, you talk about an unscripted play. This has been a clinic.
Council into Badunga, and it will eventually go in, and that is the first made field goal of the second half for the Kansas Jayhawks. Here, they'll be trying to repeat what a game it should be tomorrow night, 6 Eastern, right here on ESPN.
Big 12 Radio, Big 12 Today, presented by Modelo. I've got my friend Cindy Staples sitting in with us. You can catch us on Across the Conference each and every Thursday on Big 12 Studios. Let's talk now with Ryan Gilbert from GoPowerCat.com as K-State has a new football coach, now a new basketball coach. Ryan, how are you?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it's been an eventful, 3.5 months, new football coach, new hoops coach, but it keeps you busy, I guess. That's the one good thing about losing.
So, Jerome Tang out. First off, how surprised were you that they did end up cutting ties with Tang given the buyout?
Yeah, obviously there was a lot of stuff happening beyond wins and losses that started to add up, and I know there was a lot made about that post-game press conference after losing to Cincinnati and throwing his players under the bus. But, there was more, I guess, quote-unquote, dirt on Tang that, K-State felt that it had, the donors felt that it had, and so to move on was not a surprise. I think everybody knew it was coming. To happen in the middle of the year, you know what, maybe that was a shock, but it was a matter of time, before Tang was ultimately fired.
Do you think they made a play for Josh Schertz? And tell me why you like Casey Alexander.
Yeah, Josh Schertz, I guess early on told K-State no. Now, Casey Alexander was not Kansas State's first option, if we can be real about that. Jared Calhoun from Utah State was linked to this job, and we were told that there was sort of a deadline that Kansas State had for Calhoun to make up his mind, and obviously that passed, and K-State said, okay, we're moving on. And Gene Taylor, athletics director, they decided that Casey Alexander was, I guess, their next best guy, and it all kind of worked out, with Jerome Tang being let go mid-season and Casey Alexander at Belmont losing in their conference tournament. That allowed, this kind of to all happen. If Casey Alexander was still coaching in the NCAA tournament, how different do things look? If Jerome Tang didn't get fired until the other day, that's a lot of moving parts here that kind of just worked out for Casey Alexander to be this head coach. But the initial kind of, knee-jerk reaction, the instant kind of analysis from the fan base, it felt like nobody was super inspired. Nobody was super moved by it. But as the hours went on, as the days went on, as you just learn more about Casey Alexander and some of his offensive upside at Belmont, his eye for talent, he's got some respect nationally, both from coaches, from media. And so the more you learn about somebody, you're going to discover the good in them. 20-win seasons at Belmont year after year. This is the type of coach that Kansas State needs just to stabilize a program that has had back-to-back losing seasons. Now, the ceiling has not been high at Belmont. No NCAA tournament wins for Casey Alexander. That's a valid red flag if you want to look at the glass half empty. But glass half full, this is a guy that on paper is going to come in here and consistently just right the ship, right? Kansas State fans are just yearning for something positive. Even if you don't make a deep run in March Madness, winning games more than you lose games is going to be a plus.
Ryan, wanted to ask you here, you reported that Gene Taylor was saying the fact that Casey Alexander wants to be at K-State. Do you think that's enough to get a fan base happy and excited ahead of next season? How does he convince people, hey, I'm the real deal, I'm here, up until, we start another basketball season the end of this year?
Well, one thing Casey Alexander, just from my opinion, was he was very genuine. I think he was honest with fans in his introduction event on Monday. And, Jerome Tang, his strengths, his weaknesses, one of the things he was able to do was energize that fan base. And fans ultimately got burned when Jerome Tang, told them to expect to win. Well, when you start losing, those promises become empty, and all the great things you said at your press conference 4 years ago when you got hired, that all just kind of gets thrown out the window. And so Casey Alexander was, I think, smart, calculated in some of the things that he said. Yes, you want to get your fans excited and energized for a new beginning here in Manhattan, but also making sure that you are real with those fans. And, Casey Alexander did mention it might take a little bit of time, but to build that continuity in the roster, to have that DNA, year after year, that's what's more important than hitting on a transfer portal class. That's what Kansas State wants, both from the higher ups, from the fans. Year after year, be relevant, be winning games. And yeah, Gene Taylor mentioned that Casey Alexander did want to be here. Now, was that a direct shot at Jared Calhoun? I don't know, but he was not giving Kansas State a verbal yes or whatever. He didn't give K-State the yes, and so Kansas State moved on. Casey Alexander was all in on Kansas State and truly does, want to be with this job.
Awesome. You've also talked about the fact that Casey Alexander says that he wants that retention, right? Like, he wants to really recruit solid high school players, not just rely on the transfer portal. But can you do that in this new era of NIL and where college basketball and the collegiate landscape is? How do you do that if you're Casey Alexander?
At Belmont, you obviously couldn't do it. His best players were leaving. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You just simply can't retain players with no NIL money essentially at Belmont. Now, the narrative here is, okay, Casey Alexander has the resources in Manhattan. He's going to be able to keep these guys around. This is all just going to work out. Now, in theory, it sounds great, but it's a lot easier said than done to say you want to keep players around and then actually keeping them, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be tough for Casey to keep these guys. Now, it's not going to be as tough as it was at Belmont, but there's always going to be agents. There's always going to be more money elsewhere. There's always going to be, promises of playing time for guys to go elsewhere. Now, Casey Alexander, I've been cautioning, people just to say, hey, he can say all he wants and he can check these boxes with what he says, but some of this stuff is going to really take years to know whether or not it's going to work out. Now, obviously, how he coaches in a game, who he gets out of the portal, we can start to judge that right now today. But, in terms of building a program and guys sticking around for multiple years and actually having continuity, there's really no way to know that till 2027, 28, right? So it's going to take some time.
If you're a high school player right now and you're looking to play Big 12, etc., are you wanting to play for Casey Alexander and K-State?
Well, offensively, Casey Alexander has, proven his upside as a coach. And you look at the numbers at Belmont, they've been consistently ranking well. If you want to get that exposure, I don't know. That's the problem. That's the double-edged sword here is, okay, if I'm a young player and I just want to play, I'm probably not going to a Big 12 school unless I'm a 5-star, 4-star player. I'm going to have to work my way up. Now, Jerome Tang here in Manhattan just completely abandoned the high school ranks for the most part and wanted just those top guys. But if you don't get those top guys, you're year after year reloading in the transfer portal. So the challenge is, can you get those, I don't want to say lower 4 stars or 3 stars, but guys who aren't going to get minutes elsewhere, can you get them to come and buy in? And if they do have success, get them to stay. At Belmont, couldn't get them to stay. In Manhattan, now's your time to prove with more NIL, you can get them to stay.
Talk with Ryan Gilbert here from GoPowerCat.com. What do you think this will look like next year?
Well, I don't want to come out here and say, because this is what, Casey Alexander wouldn't tell you it's going to be a roaring success. And,
right.
If you're a Kansas State fan, do you really want a roaring success in your first year? I hate to keep bringing up Jerome Tang, but Jerome Tang had his own philosophy and his thoughts and how he was going to build and construct a program. And then you wave the magic wand in the portal and your fortunes can change you. You go to the Elite Eight and you just kind of forget about what your initial plan was. And so Casey Alexander, if he doesn't have a successful first season, you should want to be okay with that so long as there is guys coming back and there's high school recruiting and there seems to be a culture. They're building towards something. Now, if Kansas State under year number 1 under Casey Alexander struggles and there's nobody coming back, that's alarming. But if you struggle and there's light at the end of the tunnel, you can live with that. The days of taking 3-4 years to rebuild a program, of course, those are long gone. On the flip side, though, if he doesn't come in and make the Elite Eight the way Jerome Tang did, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Jerome Tang went from really good to really bad. Maybe Casey Alexander can do the opposite in Manhattan.
Yeah, well said. And I mean, how much too does the success of a guy like Keaton Wagler, really prod into K-State in terms of the high school part of it?
Yeah, Kansas State, the second to last time this program went to the Elite Eight was knocked out by a couple dudes from Blue Valley Northwest from the Kansas City area. Clay Custer, Ben Richardson, who went to Loyola Chicago, and Kansas State was unable to get those guys. Now Wagler, Illinois, I know there's a couple of dudes at Olathe North right now who just won state who are going to play D1 basketball, and so you can miss out on a guy, but man, if you do, it becomes if they're in your backyard, right? Dean Wade, from St. John's, Kansas, you're going to get those guys when they're ultra talented and they're coveted as a recruit. But some of those dudes that fly under the radar, if you're going to miss on a local dude from Kansas, you're going to miss on somebody that you should have had. You better replace him with Barry Brown, somebody that does develop and get a lot better in your program. So the problem with Wagler, for example, was Kansas State just didn't do its due diligence, so to speak, didn't do a good job eyeing the talent, didn't even really bother with that recruitment. And so if you miss because you worked hard and somebody else just grabs a guy locally, fine. If you miss because you didn't do really anything, that's a frustrating story.
Yeah, well said. Ryan, where are you on Colin Klein, the new football coach? Obviously a very well-known name in the Big 12 and at K-State. How optimistic are you about the football season?
Yeah, I feel bad for, Casey Alexander. He's coming in here. Nobody knows who he is. And then Heisman runner-up for football gets hired. That's tough to match. But, yeah, there's obviously a lot of buzz, a lot of excitement, and it does feel so much different. Usually with the head coaching hire, it's, okay, he said some good things at the presser. We're trying to get to know him and understand him. But, I mean, everybody knows Colin Klein. And so he's a legend around here. He's checked all the boxes to this point in terms of building a roster, building a coaching staff. Obviously on the field, winning games is what's going to matter so much more, though. But up to this point, it's exciting times for football.
For Colin Klein, and for people who don't know him, okay, let's say people that aren't all K-State knowers, what should they know about him?
Well, we've had the opportunity to talk with all of his assistants over the last month or two, and the fact that he's just a family man, what he preaches, day to day, his optimism, his approach, it permeates. And his coaching staff that he's put together, like, I'm sure every person you have on this show, guys, is going to preach this, but this dude lives and football is his life, and his coaching staff he's put together, like, they're truly out here, to win games. And Colin, obviously a heck of a guy, heck of a human being. If you've been around him for even a couple moments, you'll learn that. But he's checked a lot of boxes to this point, and obviously he was here as an offensive coordinator a couple years back, went to A&M, and full circle here's back again as a head coach.
Yeah, pretty wild. Ryan Gilbert, GoPowerCat.com. Thanks very much for your time and your insight here. Be well.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on.
Ryan Gilbert joining us, breaking down his thoughts on the Casey Alexander hire. Maybe not overwhelming optimism there, Sid, but I at this point it's probably what they need. And look, he admittedly wasn't their first choice. I mean, Josh Schertz is a guy from St. Louis that they wanted, were interested in, Calhoun as well, so they end up with their third choice. So we'll see if it works out.
Is it almost anything is better than what they were experiencing these past 2 seasons?
Yes.
Could you make an argument as a fan? You might not be too happy, but hey, they're doing something to make a change and a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. At the end of the day, they had to buy out a lot of money on Jerome Tang's contract, and we didn't think they would do it, just based on the sheer amount that they needed to pay to buy him out. And the fact that they did is probably the best step forward for the Kansas State basketball program. Great point. All right, City Staples is in today for James Westling. I'm Ari Tepkin. It's Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, presented by Modelo. Sydney apparently has some sort of trivia quiz for me next.
You're not ready.
Not ready.
And you guys aren't either. Who's listening? You can play along. It's okay. Beat Ari to answering some of these questions I got.
City Staples, Ari Tepkin, Taban Turner producing. This is Big 12 Today, presented by Modelo. Heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios.
Arizona won it by 7. Just under a month ago, we are underway with a trophy on the line here tonight. And he'd love to add another one here in this game.
And Arizona would like to get Braden Burries going early.
He'll pick up an assist as Bradley knocks down a 3.
Really good.
13th in the AP poll in the week before the season began, as Pete lays it in, but they were in the top 5. Into Pete, who's had a terrific night. Left hand up and good.
Gave a look to the high-low, the dump down, and then pivoted. And especially the big guys stepping up in screening situations has been really effective for Arizona.
Some room for Sharp. A big shot for the Cougars. Fleming's on the bench right now. Miller out there for the backcourt with Uzan and Sharp. Tugler tries again and one.
Beautiful pocket pass.
10-0 run, Houston. Arizona's got foul trouble, and they've gone cold. Miller driving. Dumps it off. Laid in by Tugler. Shot clock at 7. Burries. He's going to have to put a shot up. And he banks it home. Back comes Flemings. Uzan. Hit it! And it's a 3-point game. That will do it. The regular season champs are the tournament champs here in Kansas City.
Big 12 Radio on TuneIn and Big 12 Studios.
Yep.
Along with Taman Turner producing today's show, City Staples. I am Ari Temkin. Great to have you with us today and every day here in your home for the Big 12. Tune in Big 12 Studios. And we are presented by Modelo. Of course, you can catch myself at City Staples every single Thursday.
I think it's Wednesday.
Wednesday?
Listen, we film it right after this, so.
Yeah, we film on Tuesdays. When it plays is lost on me. Casey's going to kill us because he's told us the time the show airs all the time.
I know. I want to say it's Wednesday at 8 p.m., but then again, is it Eastern Time, Central? Listen, here's what I do know is that I film some really fun behind-the-scenes content. So if anyone's curious what Ari and I get up to whenever the cameras are not rolling, please go watch it.
Well, and my co-host James Westling, extremely jealous.
Yeah.
Extremely jealous.
You guys could do it in these breaks, in these commercial breaks that we just had. We were just shooting the crap about Star Wars, okay? Like, come on, get a camera out and film it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's that's the part that I'm unable to do. You're very talented at that. You're very good at that.
You hit a button on your phone and it starts recording.
It's not that easy.
Ari?
First of all, you need to purchase some sort of a tripod for the phone.
Yeah, but I have mine right on my computer right now.
I also made...
Yeah?
You have your tripod on your computer?
No, I just have my phone propped up on my computer right now.
Oh, so you're doing a personal behind the scenes.
Oh, absolutely. This is going to be fun to edit back.
I wasn't good enough to include in this?
Everybody, if you want to see more, you can hear Ari right now. That's all they need.
Why didn't you set up your tripod camera thing?
I was lazy. And I'm like, clearly, I can't even touch the ground with my feet right now. So, like, for me to get up out of this chair, it's going to be a whole ordeal. So I'm popping a squat and we're going to do this. Okay? Okay?
I was wondering where the camera was. Why you weren't filming us in breaks.
Nope.
This is like,
Right here.
I'm glad I didn't say anything controversial there because I didn't think you were filming me. I didn't know you were.
Well, what's controversial is Ari thinks that Star Wars is not a good franchise. So
that's not true.
I know. I'm spreading fake news.
Yeah, I'm a Star Wars fan, admittedly.
He's him and I we're working on it right now, right?
We're progress. Progress is being made.
Exactly.
We're in ongoing discussions.
My brother is very proud of me and us right now. Ari, on the other hand.
Yeah, Taman also not a Star Wars guy. I consider myself a moderate Star Wars fan.
Good.
There's just not very many moderate Star Wars fans.
It is weird.
You're either like all in or not at all.
So why are you moderate?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I have more questions.
I'm not completely like. If you told me I could never watch another Star Wars movie again, I'd be like, fine, sure, cool, okay, awesome. Like, I liked the movies. I saw all 6 of them. I've seen some of the shows. It's fine.
Okay. All right. I have more questions for you.
Okay.
Not Star Wars related.
Got it.
12 related.
Okay, so you've prepared. So Sydney has been thinking about what she was going to do when she joined me on this show since we started filming across the conference, which highlights many of the sports we don't cover as much on this show, which would be women's basketball, softball, baseball,
the Olympic
swimming
sports.
and diving, Olympic sports.
Yeah.
All right, so what do you have for me?
Okay, I'm going to take you through a fun little Q&A. Did you know Big 12 edition?
Okay.
And anybody listening, listen, if you want to answer in your cars to yourself, if you're doing your makeup right now, like, go ahead. See if you can beat Ari to answering these questions.
Very common for our listeners to be doing their makeup while driving, while listening to us.
Me.
Yes.
Okay, well.
Have you ever listened to the show before?
You know what? No. It's been a little too early for me when you start. But I should be putting it on in the car whenever I'm driving over here.
The whole point of this entire exercise was to debate you into listening to this show.
Yeah, so now you have me sold.
Good.
I am absolutely sold. Okay, you ready?
I'll follow up with you in a few weeks to see if you've actually done it.
Of course I will. Stop that. It's okay. I'll be back on in a few weeks, guys, and maybe I replace James. Maybe there's like a trio of us. There's a chair over there. That could be really fun. That could be really entertaining. Okay, in all seriousness, you ready?
Yes.
What is the oldest school in the Big 12?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Oh, and I have many more of these.
Kansas?
No. I'm going to give you one more guess. And this school was founded in 1845. I don't think that's really going to do anything for you, but I figured I would provide context to the listeners.
Okay, let me ask you this. And maybe you don't even know this. Is this an original Big 12 member or one of the newer schools?
Original.
You sure?
It is a school located in Texas, and it is older than the state of Texas itself. So that's narrowing it down for you.
Baylor?
Oh my goodness, look at you. Yep, it's Baylor.
I'm a genius.
Oh my God, you're so smart. I
Only
almost
needed
went
like four.
buh.
I needed like 4 clues, but I got it.
That's wonderful. Okay, you're learning things today, right?
1845.
1845. It's older than the state of Texas itself. Now you're double checking me. It's okay. I get it. How about this? This is good for you. Who are the newest members of the conference?
That's an easy one.
Okay, give them to me.
Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah.
Yeah. All right. Okay, great. Basketball powerhouse. Which Big 12 school has the most recent men's basketball national championship?
Kansas.
Oh, look at you. You and your Jayhawks and your clown shoes. It's okay, everybody. If you watch some of our behind-the-scenes content, you would know what that reference is, but I digress for the sake of time on the show. All right. What Big 12 team, football, plays at the highest elevation?
BYU.
Yes. Oh my. Wow. Can't you get more of these wrong?
I mean, there was really 3 options there.
Yeah, well, take me through your options. How did you...
Colorado, Utah, BYU.
And why did you pick BYU?
For some reason, I had in my head that they were...
Gut feeling.
Yeah.
Yep. Lavelle Edwards Stadium. It sits over 4,000 feet above sea level. 4,500 feet above sea level, if you really wanted to know. All right. Why is the Big 12 called the Big 12?
Because there's 12 teams in it?
Yeah, not anymore, but that's okay. How about this?
Wait, hold on. What was the elevation of
4,500 feet above sea level.
4,500. I'm just looking for Mile High Stadium just to see comparison-wise.
Ooh, good call.
All right, I'm going to have to find that.
I want to go to Denver. I've never been. I want to go to Colorado really
David,
bad.
can you find that for me? What's the elevation of Mile High Stadium?
I will take a game.
Because I'm
Great.
not
Taman.
finding this quick enough. Okay, why is it called the Big 12? Because there's 12 teams in it.
Okay, when did the Big 12 get its name as a conference?
1997.
96.
96.
I have an answer on Mile High Stadium.
Hit us.
5,280 feet.
One more time?
5,280 feet.
Do you want to know why that makes sense, Ari? If we were to actually, thought about our middle school days when we learned about how many feet are in a mile, that makes all the sense in the world.
So true.
All the sense in the world. It's okay.
Oh, so it's literally a mile. I did not know that. 5,280.
I only see it because it's on AI right here in front of me.
Yep.
I would have known.
You remember that 5,280 feet make a mile? God,
5,000 something.
Lehigh soccer player over here. Clearly intelligent.
Patriot League, squad up. Okay.
That's a postgraduate degree at work right there. Syracuse Broadcasting postgrad.
Look at you remembering.
Very impressive.
And if nobody remembered where Ari went to school, Kansas.
I would have never, or as James likes to put it, Kansas.
Oh, I'm about to be insufferable with that. Oh, this is gonna be good.
Great, she's found something else to be insufferable with.
Oh my
Awesome.
goodness. Okay, which Big 12 school is the farthest east?
Oh, West Virginia.
Wow, well done. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job. Okay, how many?
I just love David's reaction to these. It's like, this is the easiest question ever.
How many Big 12 schools are located in Texas?
3.
No.
Texas Tech, Baylor. Oh, yeah, I missed Houston. 4.
Okay, you're still only giving me 3. What's the 4th?
Texas Tech, Baylor, Houston, TCU.
Good job. Yep. Alrighty. Now we're going to move into the Kansas world of things, okay? I'm going to make sure that you understand your school.
Okay.
These are also relatively basic, okay?
Do you have, like, famous alum in there?
We'll see. Why?
I'm sure I'm on there. Obviously.
Yeah, let's make an amendment, okay? Let's go to, what's it called, Wikipedia? We can add Ty in there.
Add Ari Tipkin.
Okay.
Definitely not on the Wikipedia page.
Why is Kansas considered the birthplace of basketball?
Because Dr. James Naismith was the first coach there. Only losing coach in the history of Kansas basketball.
Well, didn't you just answer question number 2? Oh my gosh.
Smart guy he is.
He needs to go on Jeopardy. Kansas basketball and Kansas stuff in general.
Yeah, if I got a Jeopardy, one of the categories was like Kansas basketball, I would kill it.
Okay. What is Allen Fieldhouse's nickname?
Allen Fieldhouse. The Fog?
Good. How do you spell fog?
PHOG.
Nice. Why is it called the Fog?
Because of Fog Allen.
Indeed.
The first basketball coach at KU.
Oh my gosh, you are impeccable. I hear Jeopardy music now. This is fantastic. Oh my goodness. Okay. What are some of the legendary coaches part of Kansas basketball's coaching tree?
Well, we named 2 of them, James Naismith and Fog Allen.
Give me 2 more.
Forrest Fog Allen. Larry Brown won the national championship in 1988 with Danny and the Miracles. You could throw Bill Self into the mix too, plus Roy Williams, who never won a national championship at Kansas, but won multiples at North Carolina. Bill Self has won 2 national championships and been to 4 Final Fours.
Oh my God. Okay, awesome. I was gonna, mention Dean Smith. All right, we're just.
So Dean Smith and Adolph Rupp both played at Kansas, but neither coached at Kansas.
Don't you think that they would be some? Do you think they're some of the greatest Kansas basketball players ever?
Yeah, I mean, we think about like Kentucky and North Carolina basketball. Those 2 coaches are hugely influential in their blue blood status, both Jayhawks.
Yep.
So.
You really think it? Do you think Kansas is the best collegiate basketball program that ever has been?
Yes. Do you think it's not?
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. I'm just gonna let your bias show here. What do you think?
Dean Smith and Adolph Rupp played at Kansas.
I'm in
for Fog Allen.
I'm giving you the hand right now.
I'm in a tough position right now because my school made the tournament for the first time in 25 years. But it's not.
So did her school, by the way.
Hey! No! First time since 2012. Thank you.
Yeah, but Lehigh is going to be out very quickly. Are they a 16?
Oh. We're at 13. Hofstra.
Okay.
Yeah, Hofstra's got a shot here.
Listen.
Lehigh's got Michigan.
Whoa. Okay. The last time that Lehigh was playing one of the top seeds, let's talk about a Duke. Let's see what happened. Okay? Could it happen again 14 years later?
Possible.
All right. Everyone can shut the heck up. All right.
Who are they playing in the first round?
Is it Florida or is it Michigan?
It's Florida, but actually they've got a first
yep.
4 game.
My brother heckled me for that. He was
Is
like,
it?
there's some form of a play-in game for them. I was like, stop it.
I'm trying to figure out who they're playing. Who's PV?
I don't know. Prairie View.
Sure.
Plymouth Viewmouth.
That works.
I don't know. I'm just trying to make up things that
Plymouth Viewmouth.
Listen, if that's not a school somewhere.
No, you got it first guess. Prairie View A&M. They play tomorrow night.
You were close.
I'm telling you, it's that intuition. It's that intuition.
Yeah.
All right. What is the most famous, iconic chant heard at games at Kansas?
The Rock Chalk chant.
Yeah. Can you take me through it? What is it?
Rock Chalk Jayhawk KU. Woo! It's actually pretty eerie when you hear it, especially at Allen Fieldhouse, because it starts when the game's like decided. You can't start it a moment before. But once like the game's over, you start to like hear it. It's just like it's like this eerie sound that's like starts smiling, and then you're like, oh, it's coming. Like it is. It's really cool. Like it's different. You got to hear it.
Head nod. All right. Cool. What are some of the most recent Kansas players who have become NBA All-Stars? And I'm just give me one.
Joel Embiid.
Well done.
Paul Pierce.
Wow. All right. Final question. And this is going to be a bonus, okay? This is something for all the listeners to learn. What state was I born in? You know this.
Is it the same state you're from?
No, but what state am I from?
Virginia.
Good job. We have talked about this state, actually, when you were ridiculing Lehigh.
That's the face of someone who has no idea.
Where's Lehigh?
Lehigh is in Pennsylvania. No, I was not born in Pennsylvania.
Got it.
Can I go with Kansas?
No, definitely not.
No, listen, we were ridiculing Lehigh for if they even make it to this round of the tournament. What is my home state?
Florida.
Yes. Fun fact.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I was born in Coral Springs, Florida.
You do seem like a Florida girl.
Really? Maybe
Yeah.
it's the blonde. I promise this is real, guys. I do get like highlights, but I am naturally blonde.
I was wondering that. I've been wondering that for a while.
Oh, you're so funny. Ha ha ha.
Thanks to David Turner, our producer. Thanks to Cindy Staples, who's joining us on today's show. Make sure to check out Big 12 studios across the conference each Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. For Sydney, I'm Ari. We're back tomorrow, but for now we're out. Peace.
Bye.